Alright guys, welcome to the video. This is Thursday night, and this is the review of the expressions series for the week. So this is intended to get you ready for that quiz tomorrow. Just going to recover those concepts from the week with some practice problems for you. The real advantage of this video is you can pause it right now, copy those problems, do those problems, and then unpause and see me do them and explain them to help you catch any mistakes you're making. So right now, pause it and do those 4 problems. Okay, let's jump in. I'm going to assume you paused. Okay, negative 32 divided by negative 4. Division with 2 negatives cancels. It comes back to that repeated saying we have, that negatives cancel in pairs. Okay, multiply or divide, you literally just count up pairs and cancel. 32 divided by 4, 8. Second problem, 64 divided by 16. That's going to equal 4. Remember that a fraction bar is just another way to say divide. And we see a pair of negatives. And it doesn't matter where they are. If they're on top, bottom, or in front of the fraction bar, it doesn't matter. It's a negative number. This one happens to have 2 negatives in the division. Cancel them. Answer is positive 4. Okay, other side. To differentiate, if the negative on the 11 is inside parentheses, so that's the key thing. This negative is inside the parentheses. And we've been doing this all week, so hopefully you can do this in your sleep. That means multiply the negative when you do the squaring. Positive 121. Whereas the second problem, order of operations says you would do an exponent before you attach the negative, because the negative is attached by multiplication. So now we have this. Multiply the 2 negatives, or the 2 11s, excuse me, and then apply the negative to the answer. So that's negative 121. Notice the difference, okay? They're opposite answers. That's why you need to watch for that. Second page, pause it. Work through that with order of operations. That's supposed to be an 11. Okay, do that and unpause it to see the answer. All right, let's work through this. Parentheses. Let's start there. Right here we've got bad guys and bad guys. I would rewrite that as addition to make it clear. That's just bad guys and bad guys, negative 17. I'm going to keep those parentheses on there for now, especially because if you guys are starting to get the hang of this, we would notice that that parenthesis and that negative 17, that's a multiplication. So I'm going to have to multiply those 2 negative 17s in a minute, and I need to see that with that parentheses. All right, let's go back to solving. There's no other parentheses. You guys might see this parenthesis here and think there's work, but that is not a parenthesis to do work inside of. That is a parenthesis for, if you said multiply, good job, you're right. That's just multiplication. All right, so moving on. Any exponents in the problem? There aren't any exponents, so we've done our parentheses, done our exponents. Now, any multiplying and dividing we need to do, we do together. And right here, I'm just going to recopy the negative 17. I've got 11 minus that. And then multiply, divide. So I'm just going to copy this down. You could have done the 6 times negative 8 on the top step. I'm okay with that. Just for clarity, though, I'm just going to move it down. There's a step of multiplication. There's another step of multiplication. 17, 17. I don't know. I wasn't ready for this. But you can see I'm doing the same thing you would. 7, that's 1. Making sure that's, yep. Okay, so 289. 2 negatives, they're going to cancel. You know what? I'm not going to write them there because that's going to confuse it probably. But that pair of negatives will cancel. So now we have 11 plus 289 because the negatives canceled. 6 times 8 is 48 with a single negative, which means negative 48. And now we just finish the problem. 11 plus 289, 389, 399, 400 minus 48. Well, we know 400 minus 50 would be 350, and it's 2 less than that, so 352. hopefully you got that. All right, moving on. Evaluating and vocab. I forgot to write out the vocab questions. We'll do that right here. Number 1. How many terms are there? Number 2. What are the coefficients? Number 3. What do you call negative 13? All right, pause it and do that right now. Go. All right, number 1, the terms. How many? There are 3 of them. And if we were going to list the 3 terms, they're just everything you see there. The negative 24x, that's 1 term. The negative 13, that's another term. And the x, that's our 3rd term. Coefficients. I've got a negative 24 on the x. And I've got a 1 on the other x, okay? So notice a coefficient has to be in a term that has a variable. All right, what do we call that negative 13? Because it wasn't a coefficient. We call it a constant. It's got no variable, it's by itself, that makes it a constant. All right, other side, we're gonna hop over there. We're gonna evaluate if the x and the y equal that. Let's just plug in, except with an actual pen. Negative 5 needs to be in parentheses because that entire quantity, everything inside the x has to be squared, minus, and notice here, I'm minusing x. If x is a negative, I'm minusing a negative. There's going to be a cancellation there in just a minute. And then also the y, and then minus 4 times another y. Watch your negatives, that's where things get tripped up. Negative 5 squared, 25. The 2 negatives cancel. Now we've got another pair of negatives minus a negative becomes, oh, you know what, I'm going to back up. Did you see the mistake I was making? Order of operations. First, I've got multiplication. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Don't forget the original negative. Either way, that pair of negatives is going to cancel, so we'd end up with positive 15 either way, but that, the way it looks now, is the correct way to walk through that. Negative 4 times 3, negative 12. And again, now we just finish. I'm just going to cancel that pair of negatives. We got 25 plus 15 is 40. Minus that 12 is 28. All right, hope you're still with me. Everything making sense, guys? Did you just talk to the video? I hope not. All right, simplifying. Last one. I'm just looking for any like terms. So right here, I've got x squareds. I can only put them with other x squareds. If I were to try combining with those, that wouldn't work because x's and x squareds are not like. Okay, so watch that. It's got to be exact. X squareds only go with other x squareds. So I'm going to put those guys together. Negative 26 and 7. It's going to be some number of x squareds. So just wanted to be clear, guys. X squared is the type. The number, the coefficient, is what you're actually working with. So negative 26 and 7, negative 19. Okay, and then we'll just keep going. Notice here, I'll go to a different color. Negative 11x. There aren't any other x's. So it turns out there isn't anything else like. I'm just copying it down. And notice the negative stays with the 11. All right, next. Any constants? Yep, I've got that positive 12. And I've got that negative 19. That's my last thing to combine. And 12 and negative 19 is negative 7. Good guys, bad guys. There you go. All right, hope that helped. Any questions, any more difficulties you have, whichever page you were struggling with, there's a whole video on just that content. Go back and watch that video and do those practice problems. Thanks, guys. Bye.